stories we're following. West African troops have entered Gambia's capital, Banjul, to secure the country ahead of the return of new President Adama Barrow. He was sworn into office at the Gambian embassy in neighbouring Senegal on Thursday. Regional bloc ECOWAS says its troops' involvement was necessary because some of Gambia's military needed to be immobilised, even though the army chief says he firmly backs Barrow. As for the exiled former ruler, Yaya Jammeh, well, his successor has accused him of emptying Gambia's state accounts before leaving the country. If proven, that could make it harder for Jammeh and his family to ever return. His departure ended a political deadlock that began late last year when he refused to accept losing the election to Adama Barrow. We have two reporters covering this. First, we'll hear from Nicholas Hack in Senegal's capital, Dakar, and then Ahmed Idris in Banjul.
Well, Adama Barrow is still here in Senegal. He's staying put. We spoke to some members of his team. They say that they won't go to Banjul until the ECOMOG, the West African military operation, sweeps through Gambia and secures the area. Now, it's really important. The next 24 hours are extremely important because everybody's eyes are onto the West African troops. There are 7,000 troops that are there. And they're moving slowly. They're moving from east to west. On the east side of the country, there's Kanilai, which is a stronghold of Yaya Jammeh, his hometown. And then there'll be the capital Banjul and the State House. And it'll be interesting to see how the Republican Guards, the presidential guards, react to the arrival of these troops because they've known to be very loyal to Yaya Jammeh. So that's what's going to happen in the next 24 hours.
This morning, when we left Karang, the border between Senegal and Gambia, we saw dozens of ECOWAS troops, mostly troops from Senegal, coming ahead of us. And then they moved into the town of Barra, where they boarded a ferry and crossed over to Banjul. Now, the mood here is that of expectation. People are expecting the president to come, and a lot of people are confused, actually. When Jammeh left yesterday, there was this huge vacuum, and anything could have happened during that period. Now, that with the presence of the Senegalese troops and the Nigerian troops, the ECOWAS troops generally, in Banjul, there is that feeling of, yes, something is happening, and now what people are expecting is when will Adama Barrow arrive, and how soon can he put up a cabinet. Remember, this is towards the end of the month. A lot of people, somebody we spoke to was talking about salaries not being paid unless something happens dramatically within the next few days. So virtually in the capital itself, it's like a wait-and-see game. Some of the shops are closed, although you can say this is Sunday, but there is this anxiety and wait-and-look attitude, wait-and-see attitude that let's see what happens in the next few days. People wanted to be reassured over and over again before they resume their normal lives.
I'm joined now by Hassan Sarr, who's an assistant professor of African history at Ohio University. Thank you very much for speaking to us. You returned from a trip to Gambia earlier this month. Can you tell us what it felt like over there, what the atmosphere was like, and how people view this transition of power?
Thank you, Mariam, for having me. As you said, I returned from the Gambia on January 9th. I arrived that same day in the U.S. And since then, there has been a lot of dramatic changes taking place, events that incited a lot of anxiety, but at the same time, a lot of excitement. I can tell you that I agree with the previous speaker who said that there is a lot of questions that people have about when Barrow would finally make it back to the country, and a sense of vacuum. At the same time, I spoke to family and friends, and they are also very excited that Jammeh has left. So the question is, where do we move from here? And I think that Barrow and his team would quickly, I hope, try to provide answers to these questions.
And there are reports that Yaya Jammeh has left and perhaps the state coffers are empty upon his departure. what sort of challenges could this throw up for Adama Barrow if there isn't any money left, or certainly if the economy has taken a hit? How difficult will this make the transition?
I think the transition wouldn't be easy once all of the excitement, the sense of relief and celebrations go on, disappears. I think reality will set in, because the Gambian economy had been struggling over the last couple years, and certainly over the last several months. If you were in the Gambia a few months ago, you would have seen the impact of the economic downturn, that businesses were closing. Many small and businesses were relocating to Senegal. I knew of friends who had shops in Banjul that decided to close those shops and left to Senegal. The tourism sector is very important to the country, yet it didn't. This year, these crises have really affected the tourism sector. I also know, because I'm from a village, an agricultural community, where farmers have complained that no one was actually buying their nuts, their peanuts. In my community on the north bank of the Gambia River, people were expecting Senegalese business people to come buy their nuts. Rather, the government was not buying their nuts. So, plus this claim that Jammeh has emptied the coffers, the central bank, that adds to the problem. Even while I was there in early January, there were reports or claims, unconfirmed reports, that he had withdrawn over 40,000 dalasi, which is the local currency, out of the central bank, presumably to use to buy off some of the military officers that had stood behind him. So we don't know, but clearly there are signs that the economy is not doing well.
No. Well, you raise a very interesting question there around Jammeh's relationship with the military, but we will leave it there. Hassan Sir, thank you very much for sharing your views with us.
Thank you, Madam.
Now, rescuers have been working to pull survivors from the wreckage of a train crash in